Hello everybody and welcome to this new Maybe series. Avatar The Last Airbender is one of my favorite shows I watched when I was a child, something I probably have in common with a lot of you. The Avatar franchise so far has two series, one dedicated to Aang and his friends, and one to Korra, the reincarnation of Aang and her gang. There are also a bunch of comics being made, a pen and paper game, Nintendo games, and the newly established Avatar Studios, which will put out more Avatar content in the future. But today is not the day to talk about that. Today is the day the Netflix Real-Life adaptation of Avatar will hit Netflix. And I know a lot of people already have strong opinions on that without having watched it yet. Please keep the comments civil. Maybe they're gonna pull a One Piece on us and it will be great, who knows. So, after recording the script, a few interviews came out, and it seemed like the creators of the Netflix show are not gonna pull a One Piece on us, but try to make a better adaptation and improve the story instead of doing the source material justice and forgot what was so good about its source material. I really want the series to be good. I've been a fan since like 2008, when I was like 8 or 9 years old. Avatar was such a big part of my childhood, and after watching the second trailer I was actually hyped, but after reading the interviews I'm worried to say the least, and I really turned down my expectations by like 1,000. However, it doesn't matter how the adaptation will turn out, I can still make my headcanon and create Avatar themed project or stories. I wanted to use this opportunity to show you this little project of mine. The idea of making an Avatar-inspired Pokémon region was flying around in my mind for a few months. And now's the time to show you what I came up with. In this video you will meet 4 starter-like Fakemon, one for each nation. I will talk about the designs, but also about my experiences with the franchise, the Netflix series, which I at this point will not have watched yet, so please no spoilers in the comments, and my own headcanon and ideas. After watching the video, please let me know which of these 4 you think fits you the best. But let's start with the first Fakemon of the video, the one for the Water Tribe. The waterbenders get their ability to waterbend from the moon, which is an element I wanted to prominently be featured in this design. Originally, I wanted to use a koi fish as a base for the design, because the spirits Tui and La look like koi fish. However, I remembered there is an actual animal called the moonfish. Okay, this is only half true in German. This animal is called the moonfish, aka the Mondfisch. The English name is actually sunfish, which is ironic because it's the complete opposite, but I used it anyways because I can totally see why it's called a moonfish. They have this weird mouth and it always looks surprised because it's like half open. I wanted the moon to be there in a bunch of different variants. So all of the fins are half moons, the body is a full moon, and the eyes and the pattern around it symbolize both moon forms. In the end, I made part of the outlines in a different color to allude to some sort of spiritual energy. Spirits are a prominent part of the Avatar universe, and I wanted these Fakemon to also be partially spirits. Even though at the beginning I didn't really know in which direction I wanted this Fakemon to go, in the end I really come to enjoy this design. My favorite design elements are definitely the back and tail fin looking like a half moon buried in the ocean, and its face is pretty cute. Lunakwa are uncommon creatures found on the territory of the Water Tribe. Young benders of the Water Tribe can call themselves lucky when they manage to form a bond with a Lunakwa, one of the stronger mons roaming the nation. They are rather careful, however, if they have to fight, there is not much that can stop them. They are very fast and agile fighters. You already know what comes next, the Earth Kingdom. Earthbenders learned how to use their element from the badger moles. This design went into a lot of different directions, and I hope you enjoyed the final round I went with. But I want to talk a bit about the franchise as a whole. Like I said, Avatar is one of my favorite childhood series, and even as an adult. It is still holding up to this day, even without the nostalgic factor, which is not something you can say about all series you once enjoyed. The world building with the elements and the fusion animals is amazing and leaves room for a lot of imagination. The series is also pretty funny, colorful, the animation looks nice, the fight and bending scenes are really cool, there are a lot of likable characters and diverse characters, and overall the story is good from start to finish. I think that's something the whole fandom can agree on. The following series, Legend of Korra, is less beloved. To be honest, when I was a kid I wasn't the biggest fan, mainly because it felt like a huge shift from the original series, due to the setting now being this industrialized area, and that just wasn't working for me. I like the more harmonic, nature-driven scenes of the original series. But around 2 years ago I rewatched it with a few of my friends and I can definitely appreciate it now. The main issue in my opinion with the series is that you can feel the creators didn't know if each season they created was the last one they were allowed to do, so each season has its own story and feels a bit disconnected from the other ones. I think if they were told at the beginning, hey, you have 4 seasons, do whatever you want, the series would have been way better. Book 2 Spirits is probably my least favorite season, however we finally get the story of the first ever Avatar, Avatar 1, which in my opinion is the strongest part of the season. And I still had fun watching it, but the other series were just more entertaining. Ducktera are uncommon inhabitants of the caves in the Earth Kingdom. Most of their body is a huge ball of dirt, but a cute one. Benders of the Earth Kingdom will go the extra mile to find a Ducktera and form a bond with them. When they are in a fight, they stay in it to the end. They can create walls and hide behind it if necessary, but they usually just launch at their opponents. Next nation to cover is the infamous Fire Nation, the antagonistic nation for Team Avatar. They learned their way of bending from the dragons, because of course they did, and I used an old design of my Smorgasbord series, the Fire Dragon, inspired by matchsticks and candles, because matchsticks are like the smallest unit of fire besides a literal flame I could imagine, so I thought it would be cool to incorporate some matchstick elements into the design, and I didn't just want to create a too generic fire dragon design for a rather basic concept. Now a few words about the Netflix series. So I know that real-life adaptations of animated series have, let's call it, not the best reputation. However, I for myself am willing to give this series a chance after the hit that was the One Piece adaptation. I know the original creators stepped away from the show, but it still can be good. Let's not judge it too quickly. The first teaser we got looked fine for most of the time, from special effects to the settings. I especially loved the way Azula looks in the one shot we got from her. Elizabeth Yu definitely gives off Azula vibes, who is one of my favorite characters in the show. Speaking of vibes, back when the actors for the series were confirmed, a storm broke out in the fandom. People were saying that the actors don't look like the characters at all and that a different actor should play the role or otherwise the series will suck. And that never really sat right with me, like those were just ordinary photos of them, not in character, not with the right hairstyle, makeup, and so on. Besides, it's a series and you can't really judge a series or a character by just looking at a picture of like the actor. Okay, unless it's really clear that the makers didn't even try, but I think the actors look close enough to the cartoon characters, and to me it is more important that they can portray the character, that the vibe and acting is fitting and, matching with the original character. Because if that's off, it doesn't feel like the character, and I'd rather have someone who knows how to be the character than someone who just happens to look like them. I think a mix of both is definitely the way to go, and honestly, I'm pretty sure that that's what we got. Dragoness, a fierce creature from the mountains of the Fire Nation. Only the royals and nobles of the nation are allowed to own a dragoness, since they are symbols of prestige. Everybody else has to resort to other creatures. To test their strength and to assert dominance, they battle each other. The loser has to follow the winner and act as a bodyguard. And you know what comes last? The air nomads. The air nomads are the most peaceful nation, which learned how to bend from the adorable flying sky bisons. The design is a fusion of the bison and a cloud. It's pretty straightforward and there's not a lot to talk about. I want to give you a glimpse at my Avatar headcanon and stuff I'd like to see in the franchise. First of all, I'd like to see new stuff about completely new characters, especially the second Avatar, the one after one, back when the concept of the Avatar was not already established and the world was stuck in chaos. Avatar 1 literally died on a battlefield, and I think there is a lot to explore and I hope one day we will see it come to life. But now to my bigger headcanon. Hear me out. Post-apocalyptic Avatar. Okay. Please put down the pitchforks. I know a lot of people already dislike the industrial setting of Korra, but just let me tell you my idea. So, Korra lost her connection to the previous avatars. Also, the human realm and spirit world are now connected and spirits roam in the cities and so on. So what if during that time the situation gets worse? Basically a warlike scenario between the ghosts and humans. Korra at one point passes away, like humans do, and gets reborn, like the Avatar does. However, the new Avatar dies before they could start their training at a young age. Then the next Avatar doesn't get recognized as such, and so on. Basically the concept of the Avatar gets lost, and after a few dozen of years people think the Avatar just vanished again. But after centuries, they stopped believing in them at all, saying it was all just a legend. Fast forward to a wasteland of a world, where the ground, lakes and plants are poisoned by human factories that were built to construct war machines fighting against the spirits, and cities that got destroyed by angered spirits for what the humans have done to the once beautiful nature. The humans basically barricade themselves in the cities, and the spirits roam around the lands around that. And in this world a new avatar gets born and discovers he can control more than one element, which makes him remember the legend of the Avatar, which is the starting off point for the story. I even made a concept art in like 2021, but I never did anything with that. But this was like the vibe I was going for. And yeah, it's probably not gonna happen in this form at all. They probably resolved the ghost spirit thing in one of the Korra comics, which I haven't read. Well, not all of them, but this is what I would do, and I know that's probably not the vibe a lot of people want because it would be really dark and stuff, but it's something I like. But anyways, let's see the last Fakemon, Bryan, the calmest one of the four. Every air nomad clan has at least a few of them. They help them transport various goods from place to place. Most of the time they just float around. A special code word is needed to make Bryan fight, which is unique for every single one of them. They don't like to fight, but they will do so if their bender says so. However, they need a lot of direction when doing so. So these would be the 4 starters of the Baransu Region. Starters in quotation marks since they're not really fitting the starter category, but whatever. Which one of these is your favorite? And which one do you think fits your personality the best? I like Dactera the best, but I think Lunakba or Bryan are probably more fitting to my personality. Now, before finishing off the video, I want to explain to you how I imagine this region would work. I mix both the avatar banding styles and the Pokemon types together, so it is not a one-to-one copy. You can, however, give me suggestions if there is anything you think needs to be fixed. Also let me know if there's anything you didn't understand. So, in the Baransu region are 5 main types of people. Those who are born with water elemental energy, earth elemental energy, fire elemental energy, air elemental energy, and no elemental energy. The later ones are the largest part of the population. If a person is born with the water elemental energy, they can form a bond with a water elemental spirit. Same goes for any of the other types of energies. Bonds cannot be forced and have to come from the heart. If such a bond is formed, these spirits are basically companions. They help the humans fight, work on fields, carry stuff, help them across waters and other everyday stuff. Connected through the elemental bond, the banders can communicate without words, only through their emotions, and slightly control their actions. The 4 mons we created are basically the most wanted monsters of each elemental energy type to form a bond with, since they are not that common and relatively strong, just like starter Pokemon. In the Avatar universe, there are different rare subcategories of banding techniques for each of the elements. And I assigned each of them a Pokemon typing. Here is a chart of each banding style and which type they represent in this universe. Note that some are a bit more vague than others, but I hope you get the idea. Only a few people are born with these elemental energies to form a bond with any of these typed creatures, so even less people have access to these. And I know what you want to say. There are banding styles missing, like lava for example, and yes, you're right. I thought it would be cool if there are some creatures that have 2 of the main elemental typings, like fire and water. What does come out of that? Steam. So I created these 6 categories of crossover elements that can be accessed if either one of the elemental energies is possessed. However, the bonding process takes a lot longer since the energies only are matching 50%. So what's missing? Well, something for the non-benders and the typings. Dark, Fighting, Poison, Bug, Dragon and Ghost. Humans without elemental energy cannot form an elemental bond. However, they can still try to form a normal bond, aka friendship, with any creature belonging to these typings, by gaining their trust and training. However, they cannot communicate through emotions or control them like on a spiritual level. Technically, benders could also do that with any of these creatures, but they rarely do that since it's a lot more work and less outcome basically. So I know this was a lot and maybe a bit unstructured, and there's probably still things that have to be adjusted and to be, worked out more. Please feel free to tell me anything that goes through my mind right now. I had a lot of fun and the creatures of the Avatar universe are really cool. And if I see that you also enjoyed this Avatar crossover, I may make more episodes in the future. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and see you in the comments.